Why is there so much shame around porn addiction? I mean, anyone who understands addiction understands that shame and addiction are inseparable. But if we were to stack the different addictions and rate the one that has the most shame, certainly we'd put sex addiction and include it in that porn addiction at the top. All of us, certainly me. I've been at dinner and a friend would say, hey, I'm not drinking anymore. Others would say, I don't gamble anymore. But I haven't met one person who publicly acknowledges the fact that they're sober from porn and or sex addiction. So now you guys have met someone. Fortunately, the thing about shame is that shame is much bigger than addiction. According to some psychologists, shame is the single biggest cause of most of our psychological problems. So it's certainly an issue that's worth addressing. And if there's an idea that can make a dent in the amount of shame we feel, certainly it's an idea worth spreading. Fortunately, there are many subjects that were once steeped in shame and stigma, and today are much less so. Domestic violence, even HIV, child sex abuse, and many others. And what I've seen, and I think you'll see if you look at it, is for a conversation to change, it needs people to share their stories. So we're able to humanize people who once had this issue. Take Ryan White. Many of you may know Ryan White. He was a 14-year-old kid living in Kokomo, Indiana, who got HIV from a blood transfusion. He completely shattered the stigma of what we thought someone who had HIV was. A 14-year-old kid who got it from a blood transfusion, that's not what we thought. The bill that Congress passed that funds the help, awareness around AIDS is actually called the Ryan White Cure Act. And it's those personal stories that really allow us to change conversations and change stigma. In my own life, several weeks ago, I grew up Jewish and Orthodox, and I know many rabbis. Until a few weeks ago, I didn't know of one who publicly acknowledged being sexually abused as a child. And several weeks ago, there was an article in a newspaper in Utah where a rabbi publicly acknowledged being abused over a 10-year period by his nanny. He credited his own willingness to step forward to hearing Ali Reisman, the Olympic gymnast who testified against her abuser in court, to him doing the same. Several weeks later, the second rabbi I know stepped forward. The rabbi in Utah was invited to speak on a podcast, and his host, a rabbi in Brooklyn, became the second rabbi I know who publicly acknowledged being sexually abused. Sharing stories changes the conversation.